Now, when it comes to organizations, organizations should be viewed as an open system. So an open system is basically this idea that the organization interacts with its environment. Now, to really help us understand an open system, we need to understand what systems are in general. So originally, businesses were seen as what's called a closed system. So closed systems are systems in which the organization would not interact with its environment. And so the basic idea behind a closed system is that as long as organization functioned effectively, then everything was fine. And so effectiveness and efficiency were seen as the keys to success. Now, these things are still important, don't get me wrong, but we have to take into consideration the broader external environment. And so the example of an closed system is that of a clock. All right. So as long as the mechanics of the clock work, then the clock is fine and nothing is really needed. Organizations, though, are seen as not being an open system or as not being a closed system anymore. They're seen as open systems, ones that interact with their environment. That is the definition of an open system. We actually get this whole idea of systems from the field of biology as a metaphor for how organizations behave. And so, in order to understand this, let's understand one system that in which you are probably pretty familiar with, and that is your body. Your body is a system. And we can take your body and we can break it down into its various pieces, which we call systems as well. So you have your digestive system, your endocrine system, your circulatory system, your respiratory system. And the list can go on and on and on, but this isn't some high school biology class. So where is important to understand about open systems is first off is that a system such as myself or your body, yourself, is broken down into these subsystems. And those subsystems can be broken down into individual pieces. And those pieces can be broken down into even smaller pieces. So for instance, your circulatory system, which is just one of the many systems inside your body, is composed of the heart, blood, and veins, and arteries, and capillaries, and all that. And so we have that system, all right? And then we can take a look at, say, the heart, all right? So the heart is one piece of that system, and it is also a system in and of itself. You have your aorta, you have your ventricles, and so forth, right? And then we can take those pieces and we can break it down even farther. And just like with your body, all right, so I am composed of systems and I am a part of a bigger system, an ecosystem, of a business system, and so forth. All right. And so we have this level of analysis that systems theory gives us, where we can start basically at the atom and work our way up to the universe. And we can look at anything in between. So this is one of the advantages of it. But the other thing is to understand about open systems is that it interacts with its environment, it interacts with other systems. And so let's imagine that I eat a bad taco. Right. So that problem is going to be in my digestive system. I'm going to have a tummy ache, to say the least. But are the problems just limited to my stomach and to a tummy ache, or is the rest of me affected? All right. So if I have a case of bad food poisoning, I'm going to be lethargic. I'm not going to be feeling well. I'm not going to have much energy or strength or any of that. And so what happens in one system influences the other systems. As another sort of really extreme example, let's say I couldn't exhale. So I could breathe in, but I couldn't exhale. So I couldn't get rid of the waste. So what would happen in that situation? Well, eventually I would die from poisoning. Right? Too much waste would build up inside my body, just like if I couldn't go to the bathroom or something along those lines. You might think all of this is crazy. And why does discussion of bad tacos and not being able to breathe and going to the bathroom relate to businesses? Well, if we think of the business as an open system, all right, so first off, that system, and we can see this in the picture here, is composed of a number of systems, such as the technological system, the accounting subsystem, the managerial subsystem, the cultural subsystem, and on and on and on. So a business is, or any organization, is composed of a number of different systems, and that these systems interact with one another. So something that is happening in the accounting subsystem could influence the managerial subsystem, and whatever's happening in the managerial subsystem could happen and influence the cultural subsystem, and so forth. Also, another bit, all right, so organizations are only effective to the extent that they can bring in raw materials, bring in resources, such as, it's either raw materials, human resources, information, money, equipment. All right, and then they use all those inputs and those systems to transform those inputs into outputs. And then an organization for that, and in order for that organization to be effective, they have to send those outputs into the environment, which is why I mentioned that really weird example of not being able to exhale or not being able to go to the bathroom. Just as you would die a very slow and painful death if you could not, say, get rid of those waste products, an organization also would die a slow and painful death if it couldn't sell its goods. And so its ability to be effective is not only about the systems and the various subsystems working effectively, but also with the ability to pull materials in from the external environment and to transform them and then effectively put them back into the external environment. So in order for an organization to be effective, we need to not only pay attention about what is happening inside the organization, but also to look outside the organization as well.